Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Life Enhancement and Development Live. I'm Dr. Cresandra Washington, and it is so good to be with you all again on a Thursday evening. And I'm here this evening because I have something that I want to share with you. I want to encourage you, empower you with some words of wisdom and some godly principles. At Life Enhancement and Development Live, that's what we strive to do. We strive to share strategies, tools, life principles to help you enhance your life, to help you grow and develop and be better. And so that's what we're going to do this evening, continue in that mission to empower, to help you to transform and be who God says that you have been created to be. And this evening, I want to talk to you about prospering, positioning yourself to prosper. And so I want you to come on in and let's engage and let's talk about what it means to prosper and strategies and tools that we can use to prosper in this life, to prosper and live the abundant life that we were created to live and that we were designed and promised. You can live a wonderful life here on this earth. If you are not seeing the results that you want, and if you are not experiencing the quality of life that you desire, it could be that you're just not thinking and focusing and renewing your mind and pursuing things in the right way that God intended for us to. Sometimes we think it's other people, or we think that it's something that somebody is withholding from us. If I can just have a little more money, if I can have more money, if I can make more money on my job, if I could, meet the right people, all of those things are important. But many times those things are not the things that's keeping us from prospering in life. Many times it's us. We're holding ourselves back. It's the way that we think. And so sometimes we think we have a money problem, we have a relationship problem, but many times it's something deeper. We have a mind problem. And so I want to talk to you tonight, just share some things, some strategies of how you can position yourself to prosper. While we're here on having this earthly experience, we're going to deal with challenges in life. We're going to deal with things in life, but we still have to experience life. That's just the way that it is. But we experience conflict and we experience challenges in so many ways. Conflicts and challenges within ourselves, conflicts and challenges all around us, conflict and challenges within our communities, because you have various cultures. You have people who have different ideas and beliefs and different ways of doing things. You meet people with different personalities. And so we have to know how to deal with all kinds of people, and we have to know how to live and respond and act and behave and make decisions in this life that will cause us to yet prosper and experience the best quality of life that we can have. And so I want to share some strategies, that we could use to activate prosperity in our lives, some principles that we can use. And, I want to talk about aligning yourself with the true elements for success. To align yourself means to get in the right order. To get in the right order, you may be skewed. Your thinking may be skewed. Your decisions, the things that you have been doing so far in life has caused you not to be aligned with the right things to see the good results and the effective results that you want to see in your life. And so you have to align those yourself with the principles and the true antidotes that will give you the good success. And by good success, my saying good success implies that all success, all advancement, all the, may not be good. Sometimes we see people having a lot of things and in high positions and have money and being in the right room, in the right place, in all these places. And we think that they got there, that they have good success, but sometimes we don't know how people get into those places. Sometimes people get into those places doing the wrong things. And so we want to have good success. We want to have good success. Hi, Niagara. Thank you for joining us. That's right. They have no peace because they got it the wrong way. But there are strategies and tools for you to prosper and advance in life the right way, in a good way, so that you will have peace, so that your spirit and your mind will not be disturbed. And in those principles, we have to be consistent. And so when we're talking about positioning ourselves for to prosper and prosperity, we're talking about the right way, and we're really focusing on the mind tonight. The right way to think, the right way to believe, the right way to respond. Sometimes we have to deprogram ourselves, our minds, the way we think, the way we believe, and then reprogram ourselves with the right beliefs, with the right perspectives, the right way of doing, the right way of seeing things. And so that's many times that's where the conflict arises, because sometimes in our environment, the way we grew up, we may have been taught about things the different way. I know a lot of times, growing up, we've been taught the wrong way about money. We have been taught the wrong way about relationships, and we've seen the wrong way to be in relationships. We've seen the wrong way to handle conflict. I remember a lady saying that they were taught when there was conflict, you fight, and you fight to kill. And that's literally what they practice. They practice, when you got into a disagreement with one of them, your life was on the line, because they have been taught to kill, and they have been trained by their parents that this is how you resolve conflict. So they grew up that way. And until they saw a different way and heard a different way, that's what they practice. And so this happens in all our lives. Some things that we've seen, the way that we've been taught, the way that we've seen engagement between our family members. And I want to say, to me, family is one of the main ways, one of the major ways we learn how to deal with other people and how to deal with problems and issues. And so we grow up thinking that these ways are right. But then when we encounter other people and other cultures and other beliefs, we see people do things differently. And for me, growing up in a spiritual home, in a home where godly principles were taught, we learned the godly way to do things, to live our lives. But when I got older and began to deal with other people and interact with other people, I saw that everybody hadn't been taught and raised and trained the way that I was. And so many times conflict arose between me and these people because we saw things differently. And as I grew, I had to learn to respect that this is the way that this person sees things, and this is the way this person acts, and or chooses to deal with situations. But in my life, I saw a lot of advancement. I lived a good quality of life because of the things that I was taught and because of the principles that I used in my life to live by. And that's how I deal, how I treat people, how to deal with family members. Because I'm gonna tell you, life happens to us all. We all have problems. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how good you have it now. I don't care what you say. There, you have some problems and you've had some issues that you have had to deal with, and some conflict and challenges that you've had to walk through. And so I want to talk about that tonight, some strategies and tools that we can use in order to prosper. And I'm not just talking about money. As Niagara mentioned, peace. Peace means a lot. Peace means that you have nothing missing, nothing lacking, and nothing broken in your life. And that doesn't mean you don't have any challenges. It just means that you know how to live and operate in peace, so that when you do have trouble or when you do have problems and issues, you still can effectively walk through those things in a good way, or in a bring forth a solution that brings forth the desired results that you want. And so I want to share this little diagram, this diagram that I came up with when I was thinking about this. And in this diagram, hold on just a minute. Let's see here. All right. Okay, in this diagram, I want you to, and it's called strategies for proper alignment. How do we go about aligning ourselves with the true elements and true strategies that's going to bring us into the prosperity and the desired results that we want in our life? And I call this strategies for proper alignment. And in this triangle, the way that I see it in the center, this is, at the top of the triangle represents the mind, where we make our decisions and where we have our intellect. And then this side of the triangle is where we have our soul, our emotions, our will, our desires. And this side of the triangle represents our body, the actions, that what we actually, how we actually carry out decisions and the things that we do. And all of these things, how we use the principles to guide our mind, our emotions, and our actions determines whether or not we're going to be prosperous and have good success. And so I start with the mind. To me, the mind is where you have to start. You have to renew your mind. And let's talk about what principles. Now, I tell you all the time, life enhancement and development, when you listen to me, I'm going to be talking about godly principles. That's what I know. That's what I've lived on all of my adult life. That's what I was taught. And I have found godly principles to work effectively and work well in my life. And so it's the principles, godly principles that I'm talking about, the laws of God, the principles of God, the ways of God, that he tells us that if we do these things, that we do it his way, we're going to have good success. We're going to prosper and have good success. So you first have to know what these principles are. And we find out what his principles are by studying what he says, his word, his laws. And so you have to know these principles. And with these principles, you have to renew your mind. You have to renew your mind with these principles. And I'm coming from, I'm thinking about when Joshua was getting ready to take this position of leadership that he had been given, and he was encouraged by God to get his principles, his laws. And so he was saying, study them, know them, meditate on them consistently. When he told him to meditate on them day and night, he was saying, be consistent in studying these laws and these principles, and be consistent in speaking them out. And why is it that we have to speak them out? Because, when we begin to renew our mind, our desires and emotions, sometimes there comes a conflict between what we know what we know and the way we feel about things. And so you have to say these things out loud, and some people call them affirmations. You have to say them out loud to get your mind, to get your emotions, and to get the way you feel and your desires to come in alignment, or to come into under subjection to what you know is right. And that's where the conflict arises. Because, we want to do what we feel. Good evening, Doretha. Sometimes we don't want to do what we know to do, or what we know to the right thing to do. But we want to go by, we let our emotions sometimes override and overrule what we know to be right and what we know to do. So there are times when you have to literally speak out of your mouth what is right, the right principles, so that you can bring your emotions under control. When we talk about emotions, we're talking about anger, we talking about fear, we're talking about the fight or flight feeling. We're talking about defense mechanisms, because sometimes when things happen, conflict arise, we sometimes deflect or we project the way we feel on others, and all of that sometimes is to keep from dealing with ourselves. And so it's when we know the principles and when we know these laws, we got to first renew our mind. Put them in your mind, study them. Study them, know what it says, know what these principles are, and know what they say, and then meditate on them. Say them over and over. Sit down, get in a quiet place, and think about what these principles are, what they are, and what they mean. And then say them consistently. And you have to say them consistently because some situations are going to arise where you're going to have to speak these things out of your mouth. No, I'm not going to use profanity, or I'm not going to fight to deal with this situation. I'm going to step back, and I'm going to be quiet. Or I'm going to wait until the person is in a better frame of mind so that we can talk about it. No, I'm not going to go out and go on a shopping spree because I'm upset, or I got a problem and I'm trying to figure it out, instead of sitting down and strategically finding out some strategies that you can use to solve the problem. I know a lot of times I have a friend who says, and I find this to be true for myself sometimes, when I have a problem or a situation and I'm trying to figure it out, I get snacks. I go to the refrigerator and I get food and I sit around and trying to think. But then that's when I have to go back to the principles and laws that I know that work. And that is to pray and to meditate and to speak what God says about that situation. And so you have to be consistent in this. You have to be consistent in this. And this is why I believe God told Joshua, you got to do it day and night. You got to be consistent with these and knowing these principles and studying them and speaking them out of your mouth. He said, do not let them depart out of your mouth. So that means do not cease in saying what I say. Do not stop saying what I say, no matter what. Don't quit. Don't go against what I say, but consistently say and think and study and apply what I say. And then he said, you do them consistently. When you do them consistently, then you're going to make your way prosperous. You're going to make your way prosperous, and you're going to have good success. And he told him, he said, now you got to observe to do these things. And when he said observe to do it, he was saying you're going to have to put in an effort, be intentional about keeping my laws, my principles. You're going to have to be intentional about doing things the way that I say do them. And he says, when you be consistent in doing things the way that I say do them, then you're going to be effective in your life journey. You're going to make your way prosperous. You're going to be successful in what you do. Your life, you're going to have a good quality of life, and you're going to see yourself doing exploits, great exploits. And, in the life of Joshua, in the life of Joshua, he had challenges in his leadership, but he used those principles in his life. He used those principles in his home. He used those principles in his leadership. He used those principles in dealing with his community. And so it's the same way with us. We have to rely on God's principles and use them in every area of our lives. That's what it takes, and that's what we're going to have to do. And so that's what I want to encourage you to do. In order for you to realize, and in order for you to have position yourself for prosperity, or position yourself to be prosperous, you have to be willing to renew your mind to these principles. And that's the strategy. The strategy is to get these principles, to get the principles, whatever area of life. That's right, Ira. You cannot trust your emotions. Why don't y'all do this for me? In the chat, put an area in life. Just put some different conflicts or different situations that might occur in life. Because see, God's laws and God's ways apply to every area of our lives, every area. And of course, I'm not saying anything deep. And if you all thought I was getting ready to say something deep, I'm not saying anything deep. A lot of what I'm saying is, repetitive things that you've heard before, but we need to hear it over and over and over again until it gets in our minds. We need to hear it over and over again. We need to say these things over and over again, because, in order to have the life you want, you're going to have to do something. You're going to have to do something different. You're going to have to do something different, and that takes effort on your part. That takes effort on your part. Nobody else can do it for you. Nobody else can be diligent for you. You're going to have to do these things for yourself if you want to improve the quality of life here on earth. If you want to see that abundance that has been promised to us. And so when in making your way prosperous, you will begin to advance in life. If you exercise these principles, if you renew your mind with these principles, start thinking a different way. Change your the way you think, your perspective, your attitude. What do we mean by attitude? Your perspective, your viewpoint, the way that you view things. Start changing it. Use these principles to change the way you think. And when you use these principles to change the way you think, any wrong beliefs that you have, and we talk a lot about money, but we need to renew our mind to the way that he tells us about money, how we use money to be a good steward of money, controlling our thoughts and our tongue. That's a good one, Doretha. And so what are the principles that we can use when it comes to controlling our tongue? So we are to speak life. We are to speak life with our tongue. You all can respond in the chat with some strategies, some principles when it comes to controlling your tongue. You are to speak life. There's a principle, there's a scripture in the Bible that says bitter and sweet water shouldn't come out of the same fountain. Because you bless God with one, we bless God with our mouths, but we curse our brothers at the same time. That should not be. That should not be. So we are supposed to not let evil things come out of our mouth. We are not to gossip with our mouths. Because why? Why are those principles important? Those things are important because when you gossip and when you say hurtful things, then you say negative things and evil things of your brother, you hurt your brother. That's a good one too, Era. Be slow to speak. So why, Era, are we to be slow to speak? What would that bring in our lives? What kind of results will we have in our lives when we take time to think about what we're going to say? Why is that important? Teresa, why is it important to have affirmations? That's good. And Teresa, give us an example of an affirmation that we can say to help renew our mind in a certain area. Choose an area that we need, where our mind needs to be renewed, and give us an example of an affirmation that we can say where we can start renewing our mind and change the way we think. Ira says, be slow to speak. And it's good to be slow to speak. It's not good to pop off at the mouth or be ready to say something as soon as you hear something that's that you do not agree with. Yes, Doretha, stop, think, and then speak. And that is important because you don't want to say anything that's going to demean. You don't want to say anything that's going to tear a person down. But even if you're going to give constructive criticism, you want to say something that the person can use to be built up. You don't want. That's right. Awesome, Ira. Yes, you don't want to say things that you'll regret later. So you can say, if you take your time to think about what you're going to say, you can say something that's seasoned with grace, or say something that's going to be edifying to the person, even if it's constructive criticism. That's going to be edifying to the person that will empower them and benefit them. All right, Teresa, we're giving you a few minutes for you to go to your list. Jamie says, think before you speak. Don't be so quick to react. Yes, because you can react in the wrong way. And sometimes before we take the time to think and we react before we think, it's not even what we're thinking. We have the wrong understanding. So sometimes it's best to just wait and be quiet, be slow to speak, be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. Don't be so quick to get upset and let your emotions rule you and you fly all off the handle. This will improve your quality of life. This will improve your relationship with other people. Teresa has here, everything I touch will prosper and succeed. That's right. Affirmations. And if you say that every day, if you say that when the thought comes to your mind that nobody loves me, or I can't do anything right, or nothing good would ever happen for me, you can say this: everything I touch will prosper and succeed. You can say that and begin to renew your mind, deprogram your mind from those negative thoughts, and reprogram your mind with good thoughts, things that will break down those negative thoughts. Reprogram your mind with good affirmations, things that will break down that negative chatter. And so that is a great affirmation, Teresa. I love that affirmation. And so we have to, come on, you all, you can tell me to another area where we our mind needs to be renewed. Something else that another area where our mind needs to be renewed, and we can use this strategy to renew our mind in this area. Now, I know a lot of something that we talk about all the time. We talk about health. Okay, we'll have and utilize wisdom and discernment in all things. The prosperity in my future is greater than my past. I will have generational favor and blessings. I love that. Now, don't you know, saying that she's going to see the manifestation of that in her life is going to improve. The quality of life is going to improve, because guess what? Her saying that is renewing her thinking, and she's going to begin to act that way. Her actions, if she's already doing that, her actions and the things that she does, and the way she pursues things, and the way that she handles opportunities are going to reflect what she's saying, because it's her mind is being renewed with these principles and with these words. And so when we renew our mind, and when we begin to allow our minds to be transformed, deprogramming our mind and reprogramming our mind with good things, our life will begin to transform, and we begin to see ourselves advancing, developing, growing, getting more wisdom, being profitable in what we do, what we put our hands to, whatever we go out to do, and we will begin to experience a good quality of life. Dorita says, stop focusing on my afflictions. I'm already healed. So when you begin to say those things when it comes to your body being healthy, and you're in being sick, then you begin to renew your mind and stop focusing on the sickness in your body, but rather focusing on the health that you are experiencing, that you want to experience for your body. One of my affirmations, Dorita, is that I'm wealthy spiritually, physically, financially, mentally, and emotionally. Wealth is not just money. Wealth is that you're prospering in every area of your life. And that's right, Ira. We have to renew the mind. That is the key. We have to renew the mind, but we have to renew the mind with what? We have to renew the mind with the right things, the right principles. And that's how you position yourself to prosper. That's how you position yourself to prosper. That was the antidote that God gave Joshua. He told him, if you want to be prosperous in your life, if you want to have good success, if you want to advance, if you want to see profitability in your life, if you want to have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, if you want to experience abundance in your life, then you study what I say. You study the way that I say do things. You study my laws and my principles, and you consistently say them out of your mouth. You observe to do them, and you consistently do it. You do day, and to me, that's what day and night means. That you consistently speak them out of your mouth. You consistently keep them and do them. And he says you're going to make your way, your journey as a leader, your journey in life. Your journey is going to be wonderful. You're going to have success. You're going to be transformed. As Ira says, your life is going to be transformed. You'll no longer be as what people saw you 10 years ago or 5 years ago. you will grow, you will develop. And I want to say congratulations to Era. This month of August, I'm kind of digressing a little bit here, but the month of August, I believe, is National Black Small Business Month, and Era has started a business. And so I want to say to all the people in the Saginaw, Michigan area, that if you need a good quality daycare for your children, then contact Era Jackson right there in Saginaw and the surrounding areas, because she has stepped out and she has made another provided a service, a home child care. She started a home child care. She is providing a service there in that area to help parents who need someone to provide good education, early childhood development for their children, and to take good care of their children. And so I'm just so proud of Era, and I just congratulate her on starting this small business, this service to bring help to people. She has more than 20 years in early childhood education with Head Start. And so you have someone who's knowledgeable, who knows what they're doing, and who's going to provide excellent care for your child. So reach out to her if you're in that area. And so this is what we're talking about. Bernadette, our transformation coach, Bernadette Hicks Kelly, has joined us. And over the past 2 years, these are the things that we have been talking about. We've been talking about how you have to renew your mind and how you have to change your thinking so your life will be transformed, and so that you will be empowered to see the quality of life that you want and have the results that you want. And it takes the effort of renewing your mind. And like I said, with life enhancement and development, we promote godly principles because I know they work. I've lived by them all my life, and I know that they work. I've seen great results. It's still experiencing great results in my life. And so, and I wanted to talk, shout out to Era, because this is the month of August is to celebrate Black small businesses, but also because I have seen over the past 2 years how she has transformed. She has transformed as individually. She has transformed into an entrepreneur, into someone who has stepped out into the community and provided a service and is becoming a leader in another way in the community. And that's what it's all about, because it's not just for us. It's about as I talked about last week, being positioned for our purpose. Being positioned for our purpose. Transformation coach Bernadette Kelly says she does too. So renew, she sees it too, and she knows that these things work because they have been prevalent in her life and continues to be. And so it's the case with some other people on here. Dr. Teresa Washington, all of these things. We're not telling you something that just to be talking. We're actually living it. We're living these things, and that's why I can tell you that they work. That they do work. You have to renew your mind. You cannot go anywhere. You only go where your mind takes you. And if your mind is filled with negative thoughts, negative beliefs about yourself, negative values, that's what's going to show up in your life. Those are the kind of results that you're going to see in your life. And so we want to encourage you to position yourself to prosper. Position yourself to prosper. And only you can do that. All we can do is encourage you. All we can do is share with you what we know works. But it's going to be up to you to actually do it. And that's many times the disconnect through this. I was just showing you this diagram. Many times this is the disconnect between the mind and where we start here and where we get over here were the actions. We let our emotions and we let conflicts and things stop us from taking action. We let fear stop us from taking action. We let how somebody else's opinion of us and view of us stop us from taking action, doing what we know we need to do. Because sometimes we have the principles. We know what they are, but we're stuck. We're stuck right here. But we have to allow ourselves to become unstuck By making a decision. By making a decision. You have to make a decision. You have to make the decision that I no longer want to be here. I no longer want to be stuck. I no longer want to live beneath the privilege and the life that I know that I can have. And can nobody do it but you. I don't care how much I want it for you. You have to want it badly. You have to want it so much for yourself. Doretha says you are accountable for your own thoughts. That's exactly right. You have to want it for yourself. You have to have the desire for it. And once you make the decision to do it, can't nobody stop you. You are unstoppable when you make the decision, because then you're going to begin to pursue. You're going to, and then we'll look back and we'll look, like we said about Era. Oh my God, look at the transformation. She was an awesome person, but she has really advanced. She has advanced. And look, the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. And as I said last week, it doesn't matter how old you are. I don't care what your age is. The best is yet to come if you begin to do just what God told Joshua. Do not let these principles and these laws depart out of your mouth. And you know, when I read that, I said, that's awesome. He said, don't let them depart out of your mouth. That means don't you stop saying them. You speak them. You speak them. He even told them one time, he said, you write them on your doorpost. You put them up in your house. You know, we often talk about, you know, putting affirmations. Some of these affirmations, like Teresa was saying earlier, put them on Post-it notes. Put them in a place where you can see them every day. My vision board, I have it on my phone where I look at it all through the day. Every time I pull my phone up, I'm looking at my vision board. I have things written down, and it becomes when you really put it before yourself like that every day, those principles, those laws, you begin to act upon them, because that's the first thing that will come to your mind. But you have to program your mind that way. You have to reprogram your mind that way. And that's what you have to do. You have to study. You have to meditate. You have to do that. Nobody else is going to do that for you. You have to observe to keep them. You have to observe them. You have to keep them. You have to do them. So just knowing them, having them written down and knowing them is not the only thing that you have to do. You have to actually say them. You have to actually say them consistently, do them consistently. And so, yes, that's right. The transformation coach said, yes, you do. You have to study. You have to get unstuck. And that's how you get unstuck. You know, we get stuck sometimes because we know what we're supposed to do, but then we get so focused on how we're going to get way over here. Well, the way you get way over there is you start today doing one thing today, or doing the first thing right now. And you keep you do the first thing, and then you do the next thing. And then you start over tomorrow doing the next thing. Start each day at a time, take one day at a time. And you will begin to see yourself being transformed, changing. But you have to start. You have to make the decision to start. And so we have to align ourselves. If you're out of line, if your life is not where you want it to be, and problems and situations happen to us all. You know, we want to say, this person walked out of my life, or I got divorced and my husband left me with no money and no children, with these children and no money. I've seen people come back from, having to do it all by themselves. You know, my mother was a single parent, 5 children, young children at home. But my mother she did it. She made it. And I saw the resilience. And that's what we need to understand too, especially when we have children. But even if you don't have children, somebody's watching you. Somebody's watching you to see how you're going to handle the situation. And so a lot of times we let things that happen to us in life cause us not to move forward, you know, to be stuck, and use that as an excuse. Yes, some of you your husband may have died, or something tragic may have happened in your life that has caused you a lot of hurt and a lot of pain. And we're not saying don't work through the grief, because everybody don't grieve the same. But you got to move. You have to move through life. You have to move because it happens to us all. If you live on this earth, you're going to experience death in your life at some point. You're going to experience somebody being sick or you being sick or something happening in your life at some point. But the wonderful thing about it is that we have principles and laws that teach us how to respond in these situations and to effectively move through them and triumph over them and have a wonderful life. You know, these things, these challenges in life comes to help us be a better person. A lot of things that I've experienced in life at the time, it didn't feel good, but it made me a better person. I learned from them. I gained wisdom, and I used those opportunities or those things that I've gone through to help other people. And there's some people I've been able to help that, you know, prevented them from having to walk through what I walked through because I shared that wisdom and knowledge with them. And so, you know, we have to have the right perspective about things. And don't get defensive. Don't get defensive when someone tries to tell you or share wisdom with you. Don't get defensive. Don't deflect and don't project on somebody else. Well, so and so doing this and doing that. We're not talking about them. We're talking about you. And you know, and that to me, that's a sign of not wanting to take responsibility. To not want to take responsibility and not wanting to grow. But when you want to take responsibility, when you want to grow, you will begin to examine yourself and say, okay, in this area for me to be better, this is what I'm going to have to do. And I'm going to tell you, the natural person does not feel like it. But that's why you got to be led with your mind and not your emotions and your body. You have to be led with your mind because I'm telling you, we were talking earlier. We're in a group where we're doing trying to get healthy, and so somebody shared that they drank some coffee today with creamer, and I told them I messed up too. I drank the coffee, and the coffee I wasn't supposed to drink it, and I knew I wasn't supposed to drink that coffee, and I wasted the whole cup. And I couldn't do anything but laugh. Because I know I wasn't supposed to have it in the beginning. But something, you know, and I had to take responsibility. Okay, it wouldn't have happened had you not if you had just done what you know you should have done in the beginning, not going and bought the coffee. I couldn't say, well, turn the curve and I hit no, you shouldn't have had the coffee in the beginning. So when we take responsibility for things, if your finances are not where they need to be, you got to take responsibility for it. It's not the devil. Not all the time. It's not the devil. Sometimes it's because we're mismanaging money. We're eating out too much. We're going to the mall and stores too much. And then we don't have anything to be a blessing to anybody else. But don't you know what? If we're supposed to be good stewards of what we have. We're supposed to be good stewards of our bodies. We're supposed to be good stewards of our money. Where are all these things coming from? I'm giving them from the Bible, from the Word of God. He talks to you about how you're supposed to handle your money, how you're supposed to do your money. We're not just supposed to spend, but we're supposed to take it and invest it in good things. And sometimes that means being a blessing to other people. That's what Bernadette Transformation Coach says. She had to master good habits. And that's right. You have to master good habits because, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes we come up in environments where we saw the wrong use of money and and money used the wrong way. And so you have to deprogram your mind from those wrong ways and wrong habits and deprogram your mind and then reprogram your mind to the right ways. You know, I studied the strategy of 10%, put 10% aside to help, 10% aside to invest, and then you live off the 80%. Or some people may say, I'm going to live off I'm going to live off 75%, and then 10% I'm going to give, and then 15% I'm going to invest. But however you decide to do it, you need to have a strategy of how you're going to successfully and effectively use money. And so we can't use these excuses, if you are keep making bad decisions in relationships. Well, you can't say, well, that's the way my parents did it. Well, now that you have information and you have knowledge of how to do better, why not renew your mind? Why not say, I don't want to see these results. I don't want to see the results of, my children being traumatized or continuously being in relationships that's demeaning me and pulling me down. I want to change. It says, don't stay the same. Don't stay at the same level you were at last year. Always level up. I like that. Always level up. I think that's going to be one of the things I'm going to say. Always level up. I like that era. Don't stay at the same level that you were at last year. Always level up. And that's where we should see ourselves. Level up. I like that. Level up in all areas of your life. In my journal, I have those affirmations like Teresa was doing earlier. I have things divided up into 5 areas of my life. And I have affirmations that I speak constantly concerning those areas. And I got those affirmations based on what the principles in the word of God said about me. And I began to renew my mind with those things. And I'm doing it constantly, consistently. You got to be on it consistently, because guess what? The negativity and the conflicts and the challenges are going to come, but you got to be ready all the time. And so these things, it works on your job. It works, in your community. It works in your business. It works in your personal life. Thinking about my health, I think about how, we're supposed to, this body is the temple of God, the Spirit of God. You got to be responsible for how the Spirit of God lives in your body, because you cannot really go get around and do all the things that you need to do if you're managing your body and not taking care of your body if you're sick. And it's because of a lot of things that you are doing. So you have to be willing to renew your mind. A lot of us were brought up in families where, because my mom was an excellent cook, but my mom cooked with a lot of unhealthy things. And so I had to renew my mind in those areas. My siblings can cook. But I have to make a decision, that I those things I'm not going to eat. I'm going to have to cook a different way. And you have to be willing to do that. And I'm going to tell you now, them desires will come up. You want that ice cream. You want those apple pies with cooked in that grease, deep fried, them apple pies that you deep fry. And then you put you some ice cream on top of it and the ice cream milk. You have to renew your mind. It's all right maybe to eat it every once in a while, but not all the time. Some people got to say they got to have a dessert with every meal, but maybe it gets to the point where you don't need to have a dessert with every meal. Just because that was the way you were trained and because the way you were raised, that doesn't mean that you have to continue that way if you want to see health and wellness in your body. So I want to encourage you all and to Bernadette said, help us, Jesus. I want to encourage you all, and I'm talking to myself, it's to me first. I want to encourage you all. Let's position ourselves to prosper. And you do that by renewing your mind. And you're going to hear me say that. And for the past 3 years, I know you've heard me say it all the time, over and over and over. Even when the transformation coach Bernadette was on here with other guests, that's because that's where it starts. If you do not renew your mind, if you do not change your mind, you cannot change your life. You cannot change what you do. You cannot change your life. You have to make a decision that I'm going to live by something different values, different beliefs. I'm going to change what I think. I'm going to change what I say. I'm going to change what I do. It's all about, when we talk about thinking, we're talking about your beliefs, your values. When we talk about attitude, we're talking about your perspective, your character. When we're talking about your actions, we're talking about how you respond, what you do. So you have to, in all of those areas, what you think, how you perceive things, the way you see things, your viewpoint, and then what you do. And you will see your life transform. You will see your life change. You will see yourself begin to prosper. You will begin to see yourself have good success in all that you do. Everything that you put your hands to will prosper if you change the way you do things, if you renew your mind, if you position yourself to prosper, if you position your mind in the right way of thinking. Position your mind in the right way of thinking, position your mind in the right way of doing, you will see your life transform. And so I want to encourage you all, position yourself to prosper. You're going to have to do that. Nobody else can do it for you. But guess what? You have the tools and strategies to do that. The tools and strategies that I use is the word of God. The tools and strategies I use are the word of it. It comes from the word of God. And I believe, just like he said to Joshua, if you meditate on them, if you don't let them depart out of your mouth, if you don't let my ways, my principles, my laws, if you keep them in your mouth, if you speak them, if you teach them, if you study them, if you do them, then you're going to have a prosperous life. You're going to have a prosperous life. You're going to make your way prosperous, and you're going to have good success. You will see yourself having a wonderful life, the life that you want, the life that he promised. So I want to encourage you tonight. Let's turn to his way of doing things. Let's get those, let's get out those, let's study those principles. If you're having financial problems, then study the way that he says we should handle money and do money. If you have a relationship problem, then find out how he says that we're supposed to treat other people and be treated. And if you're having problems with yourself, find out what he says about you. Find out what he thinks about you. And find out how he says that you are supposed to treat yourself. Because sometimes we misuse ourselves. We mishandle ourselves. And so we need to deprogram our mind, the way that we think about ourselves. Don't let nobody tell you that you aren't enough. Yes, you are. You are enough. You are enough. He made you. He created you, and you are enough. And he has put some wonderful and awesome gifts and talents and abilities on the inside of you. And so it is your responsibility to find out what he says to do with them and how to use them. So I'm going to leave you all on that note. I want to encourage you to use these strategies. That strategy of Joshua 1:8. Get God's principles. Don't let them depart out of your mouth. Speak them consistently. Meditate on them day and night. Study them consistently. And then observe to do them. Keep them and do them. Observe them, do them, and keep them. When conflict arises, when problems and situations arise, make a decision that I'm going to use God's principles. I'm going to do it his way. And he says you're going to make your way prosperous and you're going to have good success. So on that note, I pray that you all have a blessed weekend and have a wonderful rest of the week. And congratulations again to Era on starting her new business, providing a service for the people in her area. And let's do what you can to support a small Black business. Just make a decision to do it for the rest of this month. If you, for somebody, go give or go purchase something or do something for a person who has decided to step out and be an entrepreneur and provide services and products to people and try to be a blessing in their communities and even progress and advance in their lives. Let's do something to support them and encourage them. So on that note, you all have a good night. Be blessed. Continue blessings and prosperity to you all.